And now we're going to talk about some booms and busts of the transfer window. Some of the signings that we think might put a team over the top. And some moves that we think might put a team into the muck of the ditch. As
The muck
that's
of the
the
ditch?
theme of the day. So,
I'm going to say that a lot more today.
yeah, get used to it. Get used to it. So let's start with you, Eric.
Okay.
Who's your big boom signing that's going to put this team into that next level?
I mean, this one's pretty obvious. It was probably the biggest splash of the offseason, and for some reason, people are saying that Zven and Mithy are a downgrade from Doublelift and Biofrost, which doesn't really make much sense to me, just because Biofrost and Doublelift maybe one lane against them at Rift Rivals when G2 was looking terrible, the worst they did all season. It doesn't mean Doublelift and Biofrost are better than them. I think Zven and Mithy have been the best duo in the West for the majority of their time, ever since they sprung onto the scene with Origin. I mean, back when he was Niels, I mean, for how great a season Reckless had, Zven still just had a fantastic season that no one really talked about. And I mean, at worst, these guys have been like the second best bot lane in EU the whole time they've been there. So there's no way it's not a big upgrade for TSM. And internationally, I mean, these guys have gotten to the semifinals. They've put on performances with two totally different rosters. They've performed well. Yeah, G2 hasn't gotten out of groups, but I mean, this Worlds, that bottom lane was still really solid for them. And bringing in a guy like Mithy is only going to help shot calling duties for Bjergsen. I think that's one of the main issues for TSM, is they got to dial that back for Bjergsen so he can get back to that aggressive play style that he's most comfortable on, I feel like.
Yeah, when it comes to European bot lanes, it seems like it was Reckless who got all the credit because, oh, look at his KD, it's so high, and look at his damage output, it's so high. But it was Zven is just a guy who doesn't die, and his team fighting is superb, and you know what you're going to get every week. It's the consistency from this bot lane, and Mithy in team fights as well. So it's just, sure, Reckless has these ups, like the upside and whatnot, but when it comes to just playing the same way every single game, is it going to cost you a game? Absolutely not. Zven and Mithy will not cost you a game pretty much ever. You can say that they will not lose you a contest. So it's just super solid, and I think they're going to perform incredibly well with TSM and hopefully get some more of the attention they deserve, because this split, they were just overlooked on G2, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, I think they've been so good for now multiple splits and years that it is just basically expected of them to perform at a high level. Right. And when they are, people are just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then if they have an off game or an off week or whatever, it's like, oh, what's wrong with Zven and Mithy? Oh, they're terrible, which is not at all the case, but their standards are just so high now.
Very high.
Very high.
Something that we got accustomed to seeing last split from a different team, Counterlogic Gaming, was some poor jungle play. Obviously, they started with Dardoch, and then it moved over to Omar God.
Again, Omar God got pretty screwed over.
He got screwed over, for sure he did. Hey, we just got rid of our jungler out of nowhere. Get in there.
Yeah, we want to go to Worlds. We want to be the best team. Come on in. No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
But obviously, going into franchising in 2018, you need an upgrade. Sure, maybe they thought Omar God was a guy with potential. They can still keep him on the team. Throw him down there. But now they brought in someone who fits this roster, someone who fits the playstyle that we saw from CLG last year, and that's Reignover. Someone who, when he first came into Fnatic and to Immortals, it was, man, this guy loves to fight. And it just seemed like he was looking for those team fights non-stop. Obviously, CLG was the bloodiest team in the league last year.
Yep.
And it makes sense that Reignover comes onto this team after his time on Immortals and Fnatic. So I really do think that, sure, his time on Team Liquid, not the best. That's fine. But he also played with different rosters and different members, and then he was subbed out at the end for Dardoch. A lot going on there. But when you look at the kind of stuff he does, most awards plays per minute. He gives the vision even when he's not being overly aggressive. And you see their top 4 in first blood percentage, GD at 10, and damage percentage. So he can still be a carry guy, which Omar God was not in any capacity in his limited time at CLG. So I think Reignover is going to be a great move on this kind of revamped, brand new CLG roster with Biofrost support. And then Reignover subbing in for Dardoch / Omar God, joining Huni, Stixxay, and Darshan.
Yeah, and I mean, Reignover was by no means the issue on Team Liquid this past year. That was a whole bunch of different factors going into it. And despite being on a 9th place team for pretty much his whole stint, I think they finished 9th both splits, I believe. So despite having that, he still had as you saw there, some of the better numbers for junglers in NA, and the whole Dardoch thing was a little absurd. I wouldn't be benching him for Dardoch, but they were just trying anything to try and get some wins. But yeah, him coming in, and obviously they're going to need a guy to help shot call now that Afromu is gone, and I think Reignover can definitely step up and do that. He's got plenty of experience, and he's learned from some of the best guys who have talked in Yellow Star, and you know, people even said Yellow Star's shot calling was kind of overhyped in that fantastic Fnatic roster in 2015, and a lot of that was from Reignover as well. So, I mean, bringing him in is only going to help CLG, and vision control is something that they definitely didn't really emphasize last year, which is why a lot of these games, they had a lot of deaths. It's why Afro was caught out a lot, and dying was just because no one else was really warding, or his warding wasn't the best way to do it. So I think now that having a guy who can be vision focused, and a guy who also, that's why he likes all these skirmishes, is definitely going to help CLG, and this roster looks like a pretty big improvement from last year.
I mean, Reignover definitely understands the jungle. You've seen some of his videos where he talks about strategy and following the other jungler around. His game knowledge is far and beyond what I've seen from other players. So I'm looking forward to Reignover, and I think he's going to really help CLG get back to a top 3, top 4 spot this split.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more esports content.